What's up, you sweaty nerds and greasy degenerates? So there's a lot of hubbub right now in Honkai Star Rail. I've seen a lot of comments, okay? I've seen a bunch of stuff in my Discord, alright? I've seen a bunch of videos going up. Whether she's overhyped, whether she's underhyped, whether she's going to get nerfed because her belly button is showing just a little bit if you look closely enough in her splash art. Is she going to answer you back in your DMs? So let's go ahead and talk about at least one thing that I want to talk about with Ruan Mei. Maybe I'll make another follow-up video talking about some of the other stuff. But right now, I want to talk about the zero sustain meta or Ruan Mei. So let's get into this. Yes, I'm talking about running zero sustains on your team. Yes, of course. Many of us have already been trying this out before, whether it's Memory of Chaos to try to get faster clears, or maybe zero cycles, or certain just challenge runs we kind of just perform just for our own enjoyment. You could also run this in certain simulated universe moments as well, or any event that comes along in the game. Sometimes there's great opportunity to run zero sustain. The recent Boulder Town event, for example, I did the entire thing zero sustain. It's easier. It's literally, you literally get faster clears. It was a lot of fun. Try it out yourself. If you don't believe me, it's a whole lot of fun. And it's not even necessarily that hard to do in a lot of moments in this game. Now, with Ruan Mei, however, she will be enabling zero sustain runs better than any character before her. And that is for a multitude of reasons. Ruan Mei will be weakness breaking the enemies. She will allow your entire team enabling of weakness break of all of the enemies. And when the enemies are weakness broken, they can't hurt you. You won't be taking any damage while they are weakness broken. The other cool thing about Ruan Mei is that when they finally do get their turn, nope, psych, they actually don't get their turn. She will be extending the weakness break duration. So not only are they going to get weakness broken, giving you priority and taking priority away from the enemies, it's going to get extended on top of everything. She's going, this whole situation alone is going to enable zero sustain in a way that is much better than any other character before her. Ruan Mei will be enabling the zero sustain meta better than literally any character before her. But that's not all, okay? That ain't it. She ain't done yet, okay? She's still clocked in right now. She's got plenty of work to still do, okay? She's going to also be buffing your entire team with weakness break efficiency. She will be buffing your entire team in many, many different ways with overall damage output and all kinds of other stuff. You are literally going to be dealing so much more damage overall with your entire team with Ruan Mei active than literally any other character before, okay? Now I want to take a look at some of the current sort of just ideas that, you know, we can look at with zero sustain teams and other stuff like that. Let's take a look. So something else that I should add to this, I guess, as well, because it's worth talking about too, is that Ruan Mei won't just be enabling the zero sustain meta, she will also be enabling the dual DPS meta as well. Obviously, weakness break effect, that's part of the whole situation, but I thought it was worth mentioning that dual DPS meta might become a lot more viable than it ever was before, because as you can see here, we have a Seela and a Jingliu and a Pela. The reason why this kind of works to a degree is because it doesn't matter who Seela touches or Jingliu touches, the enemies will be debuffed thanks to Pela's ultimate. And if you build a good enough Pela, you can keep a permanent debuff on enemies through your Pela. So these two are basically kind of sharing the same buff thanks to Pela debuffing the enemies. They will have an increased amount of damage because of your Pela. It won't be as strong as something like this, in my opinion, where you have your Hanya and your Ting Yun both hyper buffing your Jingliu and your Jingliu's just sort of popping off. Usually this is better, or something like this is better than having this situation, because you have to remember, in this scenario, you're getting two buffs on your main power output. In this scenario, you are spreading out one buff to pretty much two different characters. Now, if you add a Ruan Mei into the mix here on this empty slot, all of a sudden this becomes a lot more viable, because your Ruan Mei's buff is insane. She has so much buffing that she's doing to your entire team. And she can also weakness break the enemies more easily. Any of your characters, any of your allies will be able to weakness break the enemies more easily, providing you safety because they can't hurt you because they're weakness broken. And you'll also get increased amounts of damage from all of that. Not just because Ruan Mei's got a lot of buffs, but you're also going to be weakness breaking a lot easier with your Ruan Mei. You'll also have all resistance penetration as well. And all of a sudden, your Pela is going to be kind of like a sub DPS because now your Pela is going to be dealing a ton of damage. And let's not forget that Ruan Mei can be a powerhouse of her own because she's buffing literally your entire team. Not just Jingliu, not just Seele. She's also going to be buffing your Pela and herself as well. So dual DPS meta might become a lot more viable. Because before, if you wanted to run like a solo sustain, sorry, a zero sustain, for example, rather than put a sustain here on this empty slot, like a Fu Xuan, you might put, I don't know, somebody like a Silverwolf here, and this might be your team, and you don't run any sustain, right? This has typically been the way to go if you're trying to get really, really fast clears and you're trying to run no sustains on your team. If you were trying to run something like this with no sustain, it just doesn't quite work as well. Because what, you'd have to probably run Asta here in this scenario, and Asta's buff is just not that significant compared to what a Ruan Mei, for example, would be able to provide. It's just not as powerful. Asta is giving you a speed buff, an attack buff, and she also can buff her own defense. But it's not as substantial as something like Ruan Mei. Ruan Mei will be able to enable this much better than any other character before her. And if you tried to run somebody like I don't know, like a Ting Yun here, for example, Ting Yun's arguably the best support in the entire game. That's just my opinion, but I feel very strongly about it. She's not going to be able to give you as much as she would on a hyper carry team like this. Because if it doesn't matter who your Jingliu touches on a team like this, your Hanya is buffing Jingliu, Ting Yun buffing your Jingliu, and then you can use your Silverwolf to debuff like maybe the boss enemy target. And in this case, it doesn't matter who Jingliu touches. They've been buffed by everything going on with the rest of your team. There is some power, there is some form of an increased damage happening no matter who she touches because of the effects of the rest of your supports. On a team like this, the problem with this is if your Ting Yun buffs Jingliu, you're not getting a buff on your Seele. You're losing out on something by doing that because you don't get a buff on your Seele. The only way you get something out of this is because of Pela, because she can do it to your entire, because she does it to all enemies. So in this case, rather than use a Ting Yun, you'd want to use an Asta because you'll get a speed buff at least and an attack buff to everybody on your team. But again, this has not been quite as powerful as we've sort of been hoping for, and now you might be able to run something like this with a Ruan Mei in this slot instead of somebody like Asta or even somebody like Pela. Just switch in whoever you want. Now, to be fair, you're probably still going to want to run a Pela or an Asta. You just have to pick and choose which one is better for you in that scenario because you're going to need a team-wide buff or an enemy-wide debuff to be able to run a zero sustain team efficiently. You know, something like this. This is a zero sustain team that you could run currently right now if you felt so inclined. But this is way more risky than taking off this Silverwolf right here and putting in somebody like Ruan Mei. Because Ruan Mei, like I said, she gives your team priority, buffing the speed of your team. She also weakness breaks the enemy or allows the rest of your team to weakness break the enemy. They can't hurt you anymore. On this team with, like, let's say Silverwolf here, they can hurt you. Like, the enemies are going to beat your ass, okay? They're going to beat you down. But if you put a Ruan Mei in this slot here instead of your Silverwolf, you'll be able to weakness break the enemies more efficiently. They can't hurt you anymore all of a sudden. And when they do finally get their turn, they don't actually get their turn because Ruan Mei is going to extend the weakness break that existed there. It's going to literally just happen again. So this is going to be the most viable time period in the entire game's lifespan to this date for zero sustain meta and for dual DPS meta. Ruan Mei is going to be an incredibly powerful character, you guys. There are so many people that are kind of sleeping on her. There are people that after seeing her kit, after seeing all of these crazy videos, after seeing all of the stuff that all of us, you know, theory crafters and content creators are talking about, they still, for some reason, think that Ruan Mei is a bait character. But in my opinion, Ruan Mei is probably going to be the best support character in the entire game. Even better than somebody like Bronya or somebody like Ting Yun. Now, plenty of people are doing the whole Bronya and versus Ruan Mei, who's going to be better, yada, yada, yada. Well, I'm not here to talk about that in this video. I think I might make a follow-up and talk about that in a different video. But I just wanted to talk about how Ruan Mei will be enabling zero sustain and dual DPS better than any other character in this game so far. And in my opinion, she is as must-pull as it gets in this game. There's no such thing as a must-pull in this game, but she's the closest thing to it we've ever had so far. I genuinely mean that. So let me know if you're pulling for this badass bitch or not. Let me know if you're pulling for that sweet signature light cone. And let me know what your mom's cell phone number is. And if you are here staying till the end, I'll let you know that if you are deciding between her E1 or her signature light cone, I'd pull her signature light cone. That's what I'd do. It gives her a better overall damage bonus to your entire team than her E1 does. So, I mean, that just makes sense, right? Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one. Consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in patch 1.6. Peace.